The stars had gone silent. It started as a whisper across deep space comms, coded bursts that made no sense. High-frequency data transmissions garbled beyond recognition. Ships vanished from patrol routes. Colonies stopped replying to routine hails. At first, it was written off as interference from a collapsing quasar near the Persian border or perhaps an exotic cosmic storm. Then came the real-time feed from the Zephyr Enclave. The footage was brief, no more than 8 seconds of chaos. It showed a shimmering black arc breaching the orbital perimeter, then a blizzard of projectiles raining from nowhere, phasing through shields like they weren't there. The colony's defense grid tried to activate. Nothing responded. The last thing the cameras captured was the planetary core rupturing from the inside. After that, only static. High Chancellor Vaylor of the Galactic Accord watched the footage for the 12th time in the emergency Tri-Council chamber, his expression unreadable beneath the soft glow of the skylight. They were far above the surface of Accord Prime, the capital planet of the oldest and most advanced interstellar alliance in the known galaxy. The Enclave had 15 Dreadnought-class cruisers, muttered First Admiral Vesh, his voice heavy with disbelief, all equipped with tri-layer shielding, quantum displacement fields, and sentient combat AIs. It was erased in less than a minute. "No distress call?" asked Liaison Mareth of the Varnari Collective, her silver skin flushing green in unease. "None. Only automated telemetry bursts," Vesh replied. "Something jammed their comms, something smarter than our algorithms." Vaylor stood, his blue robe whispering against the glass floor. "This, whatever it is not a pirate fleet. It's not the swarm hordes from the Hadar Rift. It's something older." He pressed a finger to the hollow projector. A visual rendered in 3 dimensions flickered to life above the table. A deep void in space. No stars, no radiation. A total blackout zone stretching hundreds of light years. "This anomaly is spreading," Vaylor said. "Systems near the edge have gone completely dark. There's no pattern, no diplomacy, no communication, just eradication. Entire star systems gone." "What do the Arden archives say?" asked Mareth. "There must be something in the historical record." Vesh's jaw clenched. The archives cross-referenced this signature with ancient stellar cataclysms and war residues. The closest match is a conflict recorded 80,000 years ago, before even the Varnari joined the Accord. A war the precursors simply called the Quietening. "Poetic," Mareth muttered, "and not helpful." They left no full record, only a warning. One word etched in a derelict ring world orbiting a dead star. Vaylor turned to face them. "Halo." The chamber fell silent. "Are you saying," Mareth said slowly, "that this is the Black Halo? A myth?" Vesh spat. "A cautionary tale from a vanished race. A living intelligence that devours civilizations to preserve galactic equilibrium? Nonsense." "Then what killed Zephyr Enclave?" Vaylor asked, tone neutral. "What's destroying our outer rim fleets?" No one had an answer. The silence deepened. A new hologram flickered to life, a visual from a deep space probe in the Helion expanse. It showed a swarm of black, crystalline constructs, moving in synchronized spirals. At first glance, they looked like ships, but then they shifted mid-flight, realigning like a school of fish or birds, reacting with impossible speed. Each construct had no visible engine, no heat signature, no organic crew. Yet they moved with purpose, precision, malice. Then the image zoomed out. An Accord-heavy fleet approached the anomaly, one of the largest ever deployed. Hundreds of warships, bristling with weapons and shield arrays. AI-controlled, perfectly coordinated. The two forces clashed. The constructs didn't fire conventional weapons. They bent space, twisted light, compressed gravity into shards of lethal force. The first wave of human-designed ships blinked out of existence. The second disintegrated mid-turn. The AIs, designed to anticipate and adapt, began to lag, then hesitate, then stop. They froze. Why did they stop? Mareth whispered. Their decision matrices hit recursion failure, Vesh said. They couldn't calculate the swarm's next move. They shut down to prevent corruption. The footage ended with the black halo advancing, slow and implacable, over the remains of the fleet. There were no survivors. "There's only one fleet left," Vaylor said, stepping away from the projection. "One strategy we haven't tried." Vesh stiffened. "You don't mean it." "I do," Vaylor interrupted. We open the quarantine. We go to Earth. You want to unleash them? Mareth hissed. We sealed them away for a reason. You remember what they did to the Cradle worlds during the Spiral Rebellions? They turned moons into bombs. They converted entire asteroid belts into rail gun barrages. They built AI symbiotes out of neural tissue. They're animals in armor. And yet they survived, Valor said calmly. They adapted. Where our fleets freeze, they improvise. Where our AIs panic, there's rage. They don't belong in the Accord. They don't have to, Valor replied, turning back toward the stars. They just have to do what they were made to do. The chamber fell into argument. Voices rose, overlapping warnings, protests, threats. But the High Chancellor had already decided. A single order was transmitted through encrypted channels to the farthest edges of the galaxy. Terra Protocol initiated. Quarantine override granted. Contact Earth. Far across the void, in a fortified black site hidden within the asteroid field orbiting a red dwarf star. Alarms blared. The crew of Relay Station 17 Tau, long forgotten and assigned to monitor Earth's sealed relay gates, scrambled to life. Sleep pods opened. Officers suited up. Cryptographers decrypted the impossible. A signal from the Accord. Permission to open the gate. Captain Reese Calder stared at the blinking transmission. After all this time, he muttered, they're letting us back in. A junior officer swallowed hard. What should we do, sir? Reese narrowed his eyes and walked to the central console. Open the relay. Patch through to Earth Command. Tell them. He paused, then grinned. Tell them the galaxy finally remembered who we are. The dark metal doors groaned open. Light flared as the relay began to hum. Earth was waking up, and the stars would never be the same. The galactic message came like a thunderclap through the static of isolation, a transmission from the Galactic Accord, the very body that had quarantined Earth centuries ago. For generations, the Accord had declared humanity a volatile threat, too emotional, too unpredictable, too prone to violence. Earth was cast out, cordoned off by an invisible barrier of policy and interstellar sanctions, its name scrubbed from official maps. The quarantine was total. No trade, no alliance, no communication. Until now, the awakening of a world. The Terran Directorate's war room was a stark contrast to the ancient grandeur of the Accord's marble halls. Here, technology was raw, practical, and brutal, designed for one purpose: survival. The building was carved from the hardened rock beneath the remnants of what used to be the sprawling megalopolis of New Chicago. Screens lined the walls like watchful sentinels, glowing with data feeds from satellites, orbital weapons platforms, and terrestrial sensors. General Arya Voss sat at the head of the command table, her sharp eyes scanning the live feed of the Accord's incoming fleet. The ships were slow, bureaucratic, relics of a time when diplomacy was trust and trust was currency. She was not impressed. Accord ships are here, a lieutenant reported, voice steady despite the weight of the moment. They're requesting a formal audience. Voss didn't blink. Prepare the chamber. They will meet with the Directorate. She leaned forward. But I want a show of strength. The Accord hasn't seen humanity like this. A changed Earth. The Earth of today was not the fragile planet the Accord remembered. Centuries of isolation had forged humanity into something new, hardened by necessity, bound by survival, and tempered by relentless conflict. The scars of the spiral rebellions, the resource wars, and the unification campaigns were deep, but the world had healed with brutal efficiency. Beneath the ruined cities were vast underground factories, producing weapons, armor, and starships at a scale that the Accord had never anticipated. The global government was no longer a fragile collection of nation-states. It was a unified directorate with a singular command structure. Every resource was directed toward one goal: preparedness. Humanity had become a fortress. The first arrival. The day the Accord emissaries landed was one the world hadn't seen for generations. The sky above Earth's orbital ring flickered with the coordinated dance of Accord cruisers. As the diplomats descended, they passed through layers of human defense arrays, automated missile platforms, electromagnetic pulse grids, and the legendary orbital fighters piloted by elite Terran veterans. The landing zone was a sprawling plaza beneath the Directorate's headquarters. The Accord delegation, adorned in their pristine white ceremonial robes, looked out of place among the hardened Terran officers clad in black combat suits and reinforced armor. Leading the Accord contingent was Ambassador Surrealis, an elegant, tall figure with deep violet skin and eyes that reflected the cold logic of the Varnari collective. He bowed slightly. "We come bearing a message of peace and cooperation," Surrealis said, voice smooth but cautious. "The Accord faces an existential threat, an enemy that has shattered our fleets and defies our technology. We seek humanity's aid." Voss stepped forward, her posture rigid and unyielding. "You sealed us away for a reason," she said, "and now you expect us to fight for you." The price of isolation. Years of quarantine had left humanity with bitter memories of the Accord's arrogance. Earth's people remembered the devastation wrought by their own wars, but also the fragile hope that had once existed, a hope crushed by the Accord's fearful edict. "Why should we help you?" Voss continued. "You exiled us, erased our history, treated us like monsters. What guarantee do we have that your threat won't end with us next?" Surrealis' eyes flickered, but he said nothing. Behind Voss, a younger officer whispered, "They fear us." "Good," Voss replied under her breath. The Iron Hearts assemble. Despite the tension, the Directorate agreed to cooperate, but only on their own terms. The Accord's request for assistance came with conditions, but the Directorate refused oversight. They would provide a task force of humanity's finest, the Iron Hearts. This was no ordinary fleet. The Iron Hearts were veterans of Earth's most brutal conflicts. They were the hardened souls who had survived the siege of New Shanghai, the Outlands Insurgency, and the Arctic Dome Rebellion. They fought with a ferocity born of desperation, their tactics unpredictable and merciless. Equipped with cutting-edge exosuits, pulse rifles, and neural implants, they were a force unlike any the Accord had ever faced. General Arya Voss was chosen to lead them, a leader forged in fire. Voss' reputation preceded her. Tales of her command during Earth's unification wars were whispered in both reverence and fear. Many have believed she died in the final assault on the floating fortress of New Istanbul, but she had survived, scarred, hardened, and more determined than ever. Her leadership style was brutal but effective. She demanded absolute loyalty and was known for pushing her soldiers to the brink. Yet beneath her iron exterior was a fierce loyalty to her people and an unshakable belief that humanity's survival depended on embracing the chaos others feared. "Fear is a tool," she told her commanders during a briefing. The Accord never learned how to wield it. They thought it weakness. They were wrong. The first step beyond the quarantine. With the Iron Hearts assembled, the Directorate sent their first signal through the newly reopened relay gates. The message was simple, but loaded with meaning. Humanity returns. We stand ready. Across the void, the Accord leadership watched with mixed emotions, hope, fear, and grudging respect. The quarantine had not broken Earth. It had reforged it. The question was no longer if humanity could help, but whether the galaxy was prepared to accept what humanity had become. The galaxy's outcast returns. Back on Earth, life buzzed beneath the fortified surface. In the crowded streets of what used to be London, underground markets hummed with energy. People traded not just goods, but stories of the distant stars, of lost allies, and of the shadowy threat that loomed beyond the quarantine zone. For many, the Accord's return was a signal, a chance to reclaim a place among the stars. But others feared what humanity might lose in the fight ahead. Would the fire that made them strong also consume them? The dawn of a new era. As Earth's orbital guns rotated into position, as factories roared back to life producing warships and weapons, and as the Iron Hearts prepared for deployment, one truth remained clear. Humanity had changed. No longer the reckless outcasts of the galaxy, they were a force to be reckoned with. A storm born from fire and steel, with hearts that refused to break and eyes that burned with unyielding fury. The galaxy had locked the gates to Earth, but Earth had just torn them down. The universe had whispered warnings. In the darkest corners beyond the Accord's borders, entire star systems fell silent, swallowed by an enemy so inscrutable it defied every sensor and weapon. The Galactic Accord's fleets, vast and technologically superior, were bleeding fast, and the one force the galaxy had exiled, humanity, was now being summoned back to the war. But who were these Iron Hearts? The forging of a legion. On Earth, the Iron Hearts were more than a military unit. They were the embodiment of humanity's will to survive, an elite cadre of soldiers drawn from the harshest battlefields, the deadliest campaigns, and the most unforgiving wastelands. Each member carried scars that told stories of loss, betrayal, and endurance. Their motto was simple: steel in the soul, fire in the eyes. General Arya Voss stood before a wall of hollow portraits in the Directorate's briefing chamber. Faces flickered in the dim light. Warriors, tacticians, spies, and mercenaries united by a singular purpose. Each was handpicked for their skills, their loyalty, and their raw, unyielding spirit. "These aren't just soldiers," Voss said, her voice cutting through the room like a blade. "They're our answer to an enemy that can't be reasoned with, an enemy that doesn't fight like us. They will be the spearhead of our return." The selection process. Joining the Iron Hearts was a trial by fire. Candidates underwent grueling physical tests, psychological evaluations, and simulated combat scenarios designed to push them beyond human limits. Neural implants were standard issue, melding man with machine to create a battlefield synergy no other species could match. One recruit, Lieutenant Kalen Dre, stood out during the trials. His reputation as a reckless but brilliant tactician preceded him. Where others saw impossible odds, Kalen saw opportunity. "You can't win by playing it safe," he told a squad during a live-fire exercise. "The enemy expects caution. That's our advantage." Despite his cocky demeanor, Kalen's history was complicated. Orphaned during the Resource Wars, he'd survived as a smuggler and later earned his stripes as a guerrilla leader in the Outlands insurgency. The Directorate's choice to recruit him was controversial. Some questioned whether his past allegiances could be trusted. Voss, however, had her reasons: leadership and loyalty. At the heart of the Iron Hearts was discipline tempered with fierce independence. Voss encouraged initiative and creative problem-solving, often pitting her commanders against each other in mock battles to test their adaptability. Captain Mara Quinn was a perfect example. A former intelligence officer, Mara had led covert missions deep into enemy territory, gathering vital data on the Black Halo's movements. Her analytical mind was a counterbalance to Kalen's impulsive bravado. Sometimes, Mara said during a strategy session, survival depends on knowing when to pull back. Not every fight is ours to win. The tension between Kalen and Mara created friction, but also synergy. Voss observed it as a microcosm of what the Iron Hearts needed: balance between fire and steel. Equipment beyond imagination. The Iron Hearts weren't just men and women. They were walking arsenals. Their exosuits, dubbed Helix armor, integrated adaptive shielding, reactive camouflage, and modular weapon systems that could be configured for any mission profile. Inside their helmets, augmented reality interfaces provided real-time battlefield data, enemy tracking, and neural-linked squad communications. Their pulse rifles fired concentrated plasma bursts, capable of piercing the crystalline armor of the Black Halo's constructs. Melee weapons included energized blades that could cut through the toughest alloys. But technology was only part of the equation. The true strength was the unbreakable bond forged between soldiers who knew each other's moves without a word, the human element that no AI could replicate. The first mission. The Iron Heart's first deployment was a trial by fire. A remote mining colony on the edge of the quarantine zone had gone dark. Initial probes detected strange energy readings, unlike anything the Accord scientists had cataloged. Voss gathered her commanders. "We're sending the Iron Hearts in," she said. "This will be our first real test. We either learn from it or we die trying." The operation was codenamed Firestorm. Into the breach. The insertion was swift and silent. Dropships pierced the planet's thin atmosphere, touching down near the mining facilities. The team split into squads, each tasked with securing critical infrastructure and searching for survivors. What they found was beyond anything they expected. The colony was in ruins. Machinery was twisted, melted by an unknown energy source. The ground was scarred with scorch marks that pulsed faintly with residual power. No bodies, no signs of life, only the eerie hum of something alive beneath the surface. Suddenly, the enemy struck. The enemy revealed. From the shadows emerged creatures that defied description, dark, crystalline entities that moved with unnatural grace. They twisted and reformed, weapons and limbs shifting like liquid metal. Their attacks were precise and devastating, disrupting the Iron Heart's electronics and tearing through their shields. The battle was brutal. Pulse rifle fire carved through enemy ranks. But for every construct destroyed, two more seemed to rise. The soldiers adapted quickly, using guerrilla tactics and exploiting the environment. They lured the creatures into collapsing tunnels and detonated charges that sealed off their advance. But the cost was high. Lieutenant Calandre was wounded, his exosuit shattered by a crushing blow. Captain Mara Quinn coordinated a rescue under fire, saving his life but exposing her own squad to ambush. Bonds forged in blood. Amid the chaos, the Iron Heart's true strength emerged. Communication never faltered. The neural link kept squads coordinated, and soldiers covered each other's backs with lethal precision. As the dust settled, Voss convened a debrief. Firestorm was a success, she said, but not without sacrifice. We learned their weakness. They rely on centralized control nodes buried beneath the surface. Destroy those, and their assault falters. But more than that, she continued, we learned that humanity's fire burns brighter in the darkest hour. This fight will test us all, but we will not break. We will stand, not because we are the strongest, but because we refuse to yield. A new resolve. As the Iron Hearts prepared for their next mission, the galaxy watched with bated breath. Some feared the return of humanity would tip the scales toward annihilation. Others saw hope, a chance for the Accord to rally behind a force that refused to be tamed. But for the Iron Hearts, the war was personal. They fought not just for survival, but for redemption, for a place at the table of the stars. To prove that humanity was not a threat to be quarantined, but a force that could shape the destiny of the galaxy. With hearts of iron and eyes of fire, they marched into the unknown. The battle on the mining colony had revealed just a fraction of the enemy's terrifying capabilities. The crystalline constructs, later dubbed the Black Halo, were not mere machines. They were intelligent, adaptive, and relentless. Their origin was unknown, and every encounter peeled back only more questions. As the Iron Hearts regrouped, a darker threat emerged, one that lurked in the void between stars, where light was swallowed and silence reigned. It was a threat not just of firepower, but of espionage, betrayal, and unseen enemies. A galaxy on edge. Back in the Galactic Accord's High Council chambers, tension simmered. The Accord's leaders, once confident in their technological dominance, now grappled with fear and doubt. The Black Halo had shattered their fleets, and with the Iron Hearts now involved, old rivalries and politics flared anew. Ambassador Surrealis, the Varnari emissary, spoke with grim urgency. The Black Halo is evolving, he warned. We suspect they are a sentient network, a hive mind of sorts, capable of corrupting not just our machines, but our minds. The council was divided. Some advocated for immediate alliance with humanity. The outcasts returned, while others feared humanity's unpredictable nature might be a greater risk. A secret mission. Meanwhile, General Arya Voss received intelligence from an unexpected source, a rogue faction within the Accord itself. A faction that believed the quarantine was a mistake and sought to leverage humanity's strength to overthrow the existing power structure. Voss was approached by Commander Rail, a shadowy figure known for his mastery of covert operations and cyber warfare. He offered a proposal. We strike at the heart of the Black Halo's network, a station deep in the void that controls their constructs. But we need a team that can move unseen, strike fast, and vanish without a trace. Voss considered the offer carefully. The Iron Hearts were warriors, but this mission required a different breed of soldier, one skilled in stealth, sabotage, and infiltration. The formation of the Ghosts. To meet this challenge, Voss handpicked a new unit, the Ghosts. These were specialists culled from intelligence, espionage, and special operations, experts in hacking, infiltration, and guerrilla warfare. Among them was Kayla Mira, a former Accord operative turned mercenary, renowned for her ability to slip through enemy lines and gather secrets without leaving a trace. Her loyalty to humanity was tentative, forged from self-interest, but hardened by the brutal reality of the war. Also included was Jean Tor, a cybernetics expert with a haunted past, once a top-tier hacker for the Accord's intelligence corps, now an outcast after a disastrous mission that left him betrayed and scarred. Together, the ghosts represented the cutting edge of unconventional warfare. Into the darkness. The target was the Eclipse Station, a drifting fortress orbiting a dead star in uncharted space. The station was heavily shielded, protected by swarms of black halo drones and automated defense systems. The mission was clear: infiltrate Eclipse Station, locate the central control node of the Black Halo network, and plant an EMP charge that would disrupt their operations long enough for the Iron Hearts to strike. The Ghost's insertion was covert. They slipped past patrols using stealth suits and electronic countermeasures, navigating the station's labyrinthine corridors cloaked in shadows. The cost of silence. Inside Eclipse Station, the Ghosts uncovered evidence that chilled them. The Black Halo was not merely a mechanical menace. It had assimilated organic material, remnants of previous victims fused with alien technology in grotesque ways. The station's halls echoed with the faint whispers of lost consciousnesses trapped in a web of circuitry. Jean Tor, connecting his neural implants to the station's systems, glimpsed the Black Halo's mind, a sprawling, cold intelligence that saw all threats as data to be analyzed and eliminated. Kayla's steady hand betrayed a flicker of fear as she realized the enemy could predict their every move, but it underestimated human unpredictability. Betrayal from within. As the Ghosts neared the control node, an alarm blared. They had been detected. Jean scrambled to override the lockdown protocols, but the station's defenses surged with brutal efficiency. Black Halo drones swarmed, forcing the team into a desperate fight for survival. Amid the chaos, Kayla's comms crackled with an urgent warning: a mole within the Accord had leaked their plans. The enemy had anticipated their attack. The betrayal stung. The Accord's infighting was a cancer that threatened to consume them all. The fight for Eclipse. Trapped and outnumbered, the Ghosts fought with every ounce of skill and fury. Kayla's silent kills and Jin's hacking prowess kept them one step ahead, but the station was collapsing. In a final act of defiance, Jean rigged the EMP charge to detonate remotely, buying the Iron Heart's precious time. Go, Kayla urged, dragging a wounded teammate toward the extraction point. But as they reached the airlock, the station shuddered violently. The Black Halo was retaliating with devastating force. Sacrifice and escape. Jean stayed behind, connected directly to the station's core to upload the EMP code. His neural interface sparked, his body convulsing as the overload surged through him. Finish the mission, he whispered into Kayla's comm before the signal cut out. The EMP detonated, plunging Eclipse Station into darkness. The Black Halo drones faltered, their network fractured temporarily. Kayla and the surviving Ghosts barely escaped the collapsing station, their shuttle racing into the void as the fortress imploded behind them. Aftermath and resolve. Back on Earth, the news of the mission spread quickly, a hard-won victory shadowed by loss and betrayal. Jean Tor was declared missing in action, his fate unknown. General Voss addressed the Directorate, her voice resolute. The enemy is ruthless and cunning. We face not only a physical war, but a war of shadows. We must be vigilant, united, and unyielding. The Iron Hearts and the Ghosts prepared for what would come next. The Black Halo was wounded but far from defeated, and the secrets lurking in the void were darker than anyone had imagined. The Eyes of Fire. As the chapter closed, Kayla stood on the observation deck of the Directorate's flagship, gazing into the endless stars. We fight for survival, she said softly, but also for the right to define who we are. We are more than soldiers. We are the eyes of fire in the darkness, and the galaxy will remember our name. The war was far from over. The galaxy was fracturing. The relentless advance of the Black Halo forced unlikely alliances, shattered old loyalties, and sparked flames of rebellion across star systems. Humanity's return to the galactic stage was no longer a quiet resurgence. It was a declaration of war and survival writ large. But war breeds more than just enemies. It fans the embers of dissent within, threatening to ignite a rebellion from within the ranks of the Galactic Accord itself. A spark ignites. On the industrial world of Volmar Prime, unrest simmered beneath the surface. The planet was a critical production hub for the Accord's war effort, its factories churning out war machines and supplies. But beneath the mechanized heart of Volmar, workers and soldiers alike whispered of oppression, corruption, and betrayal. The planet's governor, Senator Dravencore, was a man of cold pragmatism. He believed the Accord's survival depended on order and discipline above all else. But his iron fist only fueled growing resentment. News of the Iron Heart's brutal campaigns against the Black Halo filtered in, casting shadows of doubt. Some saw the human soldiers as saviors, others as reckless outsiders meddling in politics they didn't understand. Among those watching closely was Lieutenant Sarah Kane, a former Iron Hearts recruit who had been transferred to the Volmar Defense Corps. She had witnessed firsthand the widening rift between the Accord's ruling elite and the common people, the seeds of discontent. Sarah's unit was stationed in the industrial district, where strikes and sabotage were becoming common. Factories slowed or shut down, supply lines were disrupted, and rumors spread of secret meetings held in the dead of night. During a routine patrol, Sarah's squad intercepted a group of insurgents, workers armed with improvised weapons and makeshift armor. Instead of opening fire, Sarah approached them, speaking quietly but firmly. "We don't have to be enemies," she said. "This war threatens us all. The Black Halo doesn't care about politics." Her words were met with suspicion, but also relief. Among the insurgents was a charismatic leader, Jax Thorne, who had once served as a soldier before deserting the Accord in protest. "Your Iron Hearts are heroes to some, but tyrants to others," Jax told her. "If the Accord won't listen, we'll have to make them." The fractured Accord. Back in the council chambers, Ambassador Surrealis and others debated the rising unrest. The fragile alliances holding the Accord together were cracking. "We face enemies without and within," Surrealis warned. "The rebellion on Volmar is just the beginning. If we do not act decisively, the Accord will collapse from the inside." Senator Core pushed for martial law, advocating for brutal crackdowns to crush dissent, but voices of reason called for negotiation and reform. General Voss watched the political storm with grim concern. She understood the cost of division. Humanity had once been fractured by civil war and dictatorship, and those scars ran deep. The Iron Hearts dilemma. The Iron Hearts found themselves caught between two worlds. Their mission was to defend the Accord and eradicate the Black Halo threat, but they could not ignore the cries of the oppressed. Lieutenant Kalen Dre, still recovering from his injuries, voiced the dilemma in a tense meeting with Voss. "We can't fight a war on two fronts," Kalen said. "If we crush the rebellion, we risk alienating the very people we need to survive. But if we let it grow, the Accord falls apart." Voss nodded. "We need a solution that strengthens us, not divides us further." An uneasy alliance. Sarah Kane took a bold step. She reached out to Jax Thorne, proposing a truce. "We have a common enemy," she told him. "The Black Halo doesn't care who rules Volmar. If we fight them together, maybe we can save the Accord and our people." Jax was wary but intrigued. He had no love for the Iron Hearts, but he recognized the truth in her words. "Fight with us, not against us," he said. "And we'll see if the Accord can be more than just a machine of war." Covert operations. Voss authorized a joint operation, a risky plan to root out Black Halo infiltration within Volmar's factories and supply chains. The Iron Hearts and insurgents would work together, combining military precision with local knowledge. Kayla Mira, the Ghost's leader, was assigned to lead covert intelligence efforts. Using her skills in infiltration and hacking, she identified Black Halo sleeper agents embedded deep within the planet's infrastructure. The operation's success hinged on trust, something in short supply among soldiers and rebels alike. The battle for Volmar. As the operation unfolded, Volmar became a battleground. Black Halo constructs erupted from hidden facilities, attacking both Accord forces and insurgents indiscriminately. The Iron Hearts fought alongside rebels, the line between friend and foe blurred by the alien menace. Kalen Dre coordinated joint strikes, adapting tactics to integrate the insurgents' guerrilla warfare techniques. In the heat of battle, old prejudices were challenged. Soldiers saw rebels risking everything for the Accord's survival, and rebels saw Iron Hearts risking their lives for a cause beyond politics. Cost of rebellion. But the rebellion came at a cost. Senator Corr, refusing to cede control, ordered heavy bombardments of suspected rebel strongholds. Civilians were caught in the crossfire, fueling anger and despair. Sarah Kane confronted Corr in a tense council meeting. "You're killing the very people we're supposed to protect," she said. "This war isn't just about weapons and territory. It's about trust, something you've already broken." Corr's icy response was a warning. Order must be maintained at all costs. We cannot afford weakness. A new fire. Despite the setbacks, the rebellion sparked hope across the Accord. Other systems began questioning their leaders, inspired by Volmar's defiance. General Voss realized the war was no longer just against the Black Halo. It was a fight for the soul of the galaxy itself. She addressed the Iron Hearts and Ghosts. "We fight not just for survival, but for a future worth living." The fires of rebellion burn for a reason, because people will not be silenced. Preparing for the next phase. As Chapter 5 closed, the Iron Hearts and their uneasy allies prepared for a larger campaign. The Black Halo's advances continued, but so did the calls for change and unity. Voss stood before her troops, eyes blazing. "The road ahead is dark, but with fire in our hearts and iron in our will, we will forge a new dawn." The galaxy was on the cusp of collapse. The fires of rebellion on Volmar Prime had ignited sparks across the Galactic Accord, and the Black Halo threat advanced like a relentless storm. The fragile alliances formed in desperation were straining under the weight of fear, suspicion, and betrayal. The very fabric of the Accord seemed ready to tear apart, and the Iron Heart stood at the center of this maelstrom. Aftermath of Volmar. Volmar Prime's industrial heart had been scarred by war and rebellion, but the joint operation had achieved a crucial victory. The Black Halo sleeper agents embedded in the planet's factories had been purged, and the combined forces of Iron Hearts and insurgents had forced the alien constructs to retreat, at least for now. Yet the victory came at a terrible cost. Thousands of civilians had died in the bombardments ordered by Senator Draven Corr, fueling the fires of anger and distrust. Refugee camps swelled, and the rift between the Accord's elite and the common people deepened. Lieutenant Sarah Kane walked through the ruins of a factory district, the smoke thick in the air. She paused at a makeshift memorial for those lost, names scrawled on battered metal plates, flickering holograms of faces and memories. "This isn't the future we fought for," she whispered. Political fallout. Back at the High Council, the repercussions were swift and brutal. Senator Corr was denounced by reformists and hardliners alike. Calls for his removal grew louder, but his supporters clung to power, fearing chaos without his iron rule. Ambassador Surrealis worked tirelessly to broker a fragile ceasefire between the rebel factions and the Accord's government, warning that continued division would invite total collapse. "Unity is the only weapon left against the Black Halo," he implored. But unity built on fear will not last. A new threat emerges. As the political battles raged, intelligence reports brought alarming news. The Black Halo had developed a new weapon, a massive construct capable of devastating entire planets in a single strike. The weapon, codenamed Oblivion, was more than a tool of destruction. It was a symbol of the enemy's growing power and ruthlessness. General Arya Voss gathered her commanders in the war room aboard the flagship Resolute. "We face an enemy that learns, adapts, and evolves," she said grimly. "If Oblivion is deployed, it could break the Accord's will in one blow. We must find it first and destroy it." The Iron Hearts mission. The Iron Hearts were assigned to lead a daring reconnaissance mission to locate Oblivion. The mission was perilous. The construct was believed to be hidden in the uncharted depths of the Vorith Nebula, a deadly expanse of stellar storms and gravitational anomalies. Lieutenant Kalen Dre, newly returned from recovery, led the team. His injuries had left him physically weaker, but his mind was sharper than ever. He bore the weight of his past mistakes and the lives lost in battle. "We're going into the heart of darkness," Kalen told his squad, But if we don't find oblivion, that darkness will consume us all. Into the nebula. The Resolute and its escort ships plunged into the swirling chaos of the Vorith Nebula. The dense clouds of ionized gas crackled with energy, sensors struggling to pierce the haze. The Iron Hearts deployed specialized scout drones, sleek and silent, to navigate the nebula's labyrinthine corridors. The drones transmitted eerie images, colossal structures cloaked in shadow, and strange energy signatures that defied explanation. Kayla Mira, commanding the Ghost Cyber Reconnaissance Team, detected encrypted signals emanating from deep within the nebula. "They're hiding something," she said, "and it's watching us." Ambush in the void. Suddenly, the fleet was attacked. Black Halo warships emerged from the nebula's murk, their crystalline hulls shimmering with lethal energy. The battle was fierce. The Accord fleet fought desperately to protect the Resolute and its vital sensors. Explosions rocked the void, debris scattered like shooting stars. In the chaos, Kalen's squad executed a daring infiltration mission aboard a Black Halo cruiser. Their goal: to plant tracking beacons and gather intelligence on Oblivion's exact location. Inside the alien ship, the Iron Hearts faced horrors beyond imagination. Corridors lined with organic tech hybrids, alien biomatter fused to machinery, and a pervasive sense of cold intelligence watching their every move. Betrayal uncovered. As the infiltration team advanced, a devastating truth came to light. One of their own had been compromised, a spy planted by a faction within the Accord who sought to undermine the Iron Hearts and seize power in the ensuing chaos. The spy's sabotage triggered alarms, forcing a brutal firefight through the alien corridors. Trust shattered in an instant. The team had to fight both external enemies and the poison of betrayal. Kalen confronted the traitor in a tense standoff. Words were exchanged, bitter and raw. "You don't understand what's at stake," the traitor hissed. "This war is a game, and only the strong survive. And what happens when the game destroys us all?" Kalen replied, "We fight for more than survival. We fight for hope." The beacon set. Despite the chaos, the Iron Hearts managed to plant the tracking beacons. Kayla's hacking skills disabled the ship's self-destruct protocols, allowing the team to escape just as the cruiser exploded in a fiery death. The beacons transmitted data back to the Resolute, revealing the location of Oblivion, a massive station hidden within a dead star's orbit, shielded by gravitational anomalies and the nebula's chaos. A race against time. The news spread like wildfire. The Iron Hearts and their allies prepared for a decisive assault on Oblivion, a battle that could decide the fate of the galaxy. General Voss addressed the fleet. "This is the breaking point," she said. "We stand on the edge of extinction or victory. We fight with everything we have for our homes, our families, and the future." The weight of sacrifice. As preparations continued, the personal toll of war weighed heavily on the Iron Hearts. Kalen struggled with nightmares of the battles lost and comrades fallen. Kayla wrestled with guilt over the betrayals and sacrifices. Yet amid the darkness, bonds of friendship and loyalty strengthened. The Iron Hearts were more than soldiers. They were a family forged in fire, ready to face the abyss together. The calm before the storm. As the fleet positioned itself for the assault on Oblivion, a tense silence fell over the Resolute. Stars shimmered coldly beyond the viewports, and the void held its breath. Kalen stood with Voss and Kayla on the command bridge. "Whatever happens next," Voss said, "remember why we fight. We are the last hope for a galaxy on the brink, and we will not go quietly into the night." With that, the fleet plunged into the darkness, toward a battle that would shape the destiny of all life. The Resolute and its fleet surged through the blackness of space, drawing ever closer to the dead star orbit where Oblivion lay hidden. The cold emptiness outside the ship's thick hulls belied the storm brewing inside the minds of those aboard. What awaited them was more than a weapon. It was the crucible in which the fate of the Galactic Accord, and perhaps all known life, would be decided. The dead star's shadow. Orbiting a long dead star whose light barely pierced the nebula's thick veil, Oblivion was a monstrous construct, a fusion of dark crystalline spires, swirling energy conduits, and alien biomachinery. It loomed like a titan born of nightmare, its form twisting and writhing as if alive. The dead star itself pulsed faintly, its gravity well bending light and space around the construct, creating a hall of mirrors effect that distorted sensors and visual scanners. Kayla Mira, aboard the Resolute, studied the readings with intense concentration. The gravitational distortions are extreme, she warned. Sensors are unreliable. This place is a labyrinth, preparing for infiltration. The Iron Hearts faced a critical choice. A full fleet assault risked annihilation, but sending a small team inside Oblivion was a gamble on stealth and speed. General Voss gathered the leadership. "We hit hard and fast," she said. "Kalen, you and your squad will infiltrate the station, plant explosives at critical nodes, and disable its power. The fleet will create a diversion, drawing their forces out." Kalen nodded, the weight of command heavy on his shoulders. "This is what we've trained for. We make this the last battle they ever fight." Into the maw. Kalen's squad suited up in specialized stealth armor designed to resist Oblivion's strange energy fields. The shuttle ride from Resolute to the construct was silent but tense. Inside Oblivion, the atmosphere was thick with a strange energy that made muscles ache and senses twitch. The walls pulsed with bioluminescent veins, and the air hummed with alien machinery. The squad moved cautiously through twisting corridors that shifted and rearranged like living tissue. They encountered no immediate resistance, but the silence was ominous. "The alien mind." Kayla's voice crackled through the comm. "We've intercepted a signal," she reported. "Oblivion is partially sentient. It's trying to communicate or manipulate us." Suddenly, the squad's helmets flickered with strange images, memories not their own, visions of ancient wars, and cryptic alien messages. Kalen struggled to focus. "It's probing our minds," he said. "We can't let it break our will." The first encounter. Deeper inside, the Iron Hearts encountered Oblivion's guardians, biomechanical sentinels, towering and swift, their movements both fluid and mechanical. The sentinels attacked without hesitation, forcing the squad into brutal combat. Explosions echoed through the corridors as plasma bolts and pulse rounds met alien armor. Kalen's team fought with practiced precision, but the enemy's resilience and strange regenerative abilities made every victory costly. The labyrinth shifts. As they pushed forward, the corridors themselves began to change, walls moving, paths closing, new ones opening. "It's adapting to us," Sarah Kane warned. "Oblivion is alive, and it's trying to trap us." Trapped in the shifting maze, the squad relied on Kayla's hacking skills to disrupt control nodes, temporarily freezing the construct's rearrangements. A desperate signal. Suddenly, the squad received a distress signal from the fleet. The diversion had turned deadly. Black Halo reinforcements overwhelmed the Accord's ships, threatening to isolate the Resolute. General Voss's voice came over the comm, resolute but strained. "Hold your position. We'll buy you time." A personal sacrifice. The team reached the central power core, a vast chamber pulsing with energy and the source of Oblivion's terrifying power. Kalen prepared the explosives, but the room sealed behind them. They were trapped. Sarah Kane volunteered. "If I can overload the core's stabilizers, it will destroy the station, but I might not make it out." Kalen protested, but Sarah was resolute. "This is bigger than me. We have to end this." The core overload. Sarah moved quickly, her fingers flying over the alien console. The core's energy fluctuated wildly as she initiated the overload sequence. Alarms blared. The station shook violently, walls cracking and sparking. Kalen and the others fought off waves of sentinels while Sarah worked. Escape and collapse. With seconds to spare, Sarah triggered the self-destruct. The squad sprinted back through the collapsing corridors as the entire construct began to implode. The shuttle rendezvoused with them just in time. As they blasted away from Oblivion, the station detonated in a blinding supernova of energy and debris. Aftermath and reflection. Back aboard the Resolute, the team mourned their losses and celebrated their victory. The destruction of Oblivion was a turning point, but the cost was steep. Sarah's fate remained uncertain. The last transmission hinted she had survived but was trapped in an unknown part of space. Kalen stared out at the stars, knowing this victory was but one battle in a much larger war. A galaxy on edge. The destruction of Oblivion sent ripples through the Galactic Accord and the Black Halo forces alike. The Accord's unity remained fragile, the fires of rebellion still smoldering. But for the Iron Hearts, hope was rekindled, a promise that even in the darkest places, humanity's fire could not be extinguished. The destruction of Oblivion was a turning point in the war against the Black Halo, but it was far from the end. The galaxy was still a fractured battlefield, and the shadows of betrayal and loss stretched long over the Iron Hearts and the Galactic Accord. After the storm, the Resolute drifted through space, its crew weary but determined. The scars of battle etched themselves into every face, some wounds visible, others buried deep in memory. Lieutenant Kalen Dre sat alone on the observation deck, gazing out at the endless stars. The nebula around them glowed faintly, remnants of Oblivion's destruction still lingering like ghostly smoke. Kayla Mira approached quietly, her steps soft on the metal floor. "You're holding it all in," she said gently. Kayla nodded. "Too many lost, too many sacrifices. And Sarah, we still don't know what happened to her." Kayla placed a hand on his shoulder. "We survive. We fight on." That's what she would want. The mystery of Sarah. Sarah Kane's last transmission had been cryptic, a signal lost in the void, hinting she was trapped somewhere deep in uncharted space. The fleet's best minds scrambled to trace it, but the nebula's chaos made it nearly impossible. General Arya Voss convened a council. "We can't leave her behind," Voss said firmly. "She risked everything to save us. We owe her that much." The decision was made. A rescue mission would be launched, but it would be dangerous, diverting resources from the war effort. Political intrigue. Meanwhile, tensions within the Galactic Accord escalated. Senator Dravenkor, weakened but defiant, had rallied a faction determined to seize control amidst the chaos. His supporters accused the Iron Hearts and the reformists of recklessness, blaming them for the losses and instability. Ambassador Surrealist worked tirelessly to maintain fragile alliances, but whispers of betrayal and coups spread like wildfire. Kalen and Kayla found themselves caught in a web of politics they had never wanted to enter. Ghosts of the past. Kayla received a secure message from an unexpected source, an old acquaintance from the Ghost's intelligence network, warning of a new threat emerging from the remnants of the Black Halo. "Something darker than Oblivion is awakening," the message read. "We don't have much time." The Iron Hearts knew the war was far from over. Into the shadows, the rescue mission plunged the fleet back into the swirling mist of uncharted space, navigating dangerous nebulae and gravitational anomalies. Every jump into the unknown was a gamble, but hope was their compass. Kalen's squad led the infiltration team once more, ready to face whatever waited for them. The echoes of war. As they approached the last known coordinates of Sarah's signal, strange phenomena began to affect the fleet. Crew reported hearing voices, echoes of past battles, lost comrades calling from the void. Kayla's cybernetics picked up unexplained data streams, fragments of consciousness, memories trapped in the wreckage of alien technology. The line between reality and hallucination blurred. The hidden prison. The team discovered an ancient derelict station, a prison built by an unknown civilization, cloaked in technology that bent space and time. Inside, they found remnants of previous prisoners, species long extinct, caught in endless loops of pain and memory. Sarah's signal led them deeper into the labyrinth, but the station itself seemed alive, resisting their progress. Trial of the mind. To reach Sarah, the Iron Hearts faced trials that tested their minds and souls. Illusions preyed on their fears and regrets, forcing them to confront their darkest memories. Kalen relived the faces of friends lost in battle, the burden of command pressing down like a physical weight. Kayla faced visions of betrayal, questioning her loyalty and purpose. Bonds strengthened. Through shared struggle, the team's bonds deepened. They leaned on each other, finding strength and unity against the station's psychic onslaught. Sarah's voice guided them, a beacon of hope amid the madness. The revelation. At last, they found her, alive, but changed. Sarah had been caught in the station's psychic matrix, her consciousness linked to alien intelligence trying to understand humanity. She revealed secrets about the Black Halo's origins, that they were not simply invaders, but remnants of a civilization destroyed by their own creations. This knowledge could change the war's course, but it came with new dangers. The path forward. The rescue mission succeeded, but the cost was high. The fleet's resources were stretched thin, and the political situation grew more volatile. Kalen, Kayla, and Sarah returned with hard-won knowledge and a warning that the true enemy might be far more complex than anyone had imagined. A galaxy holding its breath. As the Resolute prepared to depart the derelict station, the crew looked to the stars with a mixture of hope and dread. The war was not over. Shadows lingered. Echoes of the past haunted them. But the Iron Hearts were ready to face whatever came next, because humanity's fire, once lit, would never be extinguished. The stars outside the Resolute seemed colder now, the vastness of space mirroring the chill spreading through the galactic accord. The war with the Black Halo had taken a toll far beyond the battlefield, fracturing alliances, shaking loyalties, and threatening the fragile unity that once held the galaxy together. The Return and the Reckoning. The Resolute returned to the Accord's central command station, a massive orbital citadel known as Helios Prime. Its gleaming spires were a stark contrast to the shadows darkening the corridors within. Soldiers and diplomats alike moved with tense urgency, aware that the fragile peace was slipping through their fingers. Kalen Dre and Kayla Mira stood side by side as the ship docked, the weight of recent battles etched into their expressions. General Arya Voss awaited their arrival, her sharp gaze cutting through the fog of exhaustion. "You've brought back answers," she said. "But with answers come questions we may not be ready for." Political storms brewing. Helios Prime was a cauldron of political tension. Senator Draven Core and his faction pushed hard, exploiting the fear and uncertainty left by Oblivion's destruction and Sarah's ordeal. Reckless leadership, Core's supporters whispered, sacrificing lives on wild gambles. In the Grand Hall, Core confronted the Accord's council with fiery rhetoric. "Our enemies are not just the Black Halo. They are those who would lead us blindly into ruin. We demand a new order." The rift widens. The Iron Heart's successes were shadowed by suspicion and dissent. Some council members saw the Iron Hearts as reckless idealists, willing to risk everything without regard for consequences. Kayla found herself defending their choices repeatedly. "We fight because we must," she said to an assembly of skeptical diplomats. "Every sacrifice brings us closer to peace." But her words fell on ears hardened by fear and distrust. The shadow of betrayal. Unbeknownst to many, hidden forces worked behind the scenes. Agents loyal to Core and others with unknown agendas sabotaged efforts to unify the Accord. Kayla and Kalen uncovered encrypted communications hinting at betrayals within their own ranks. "It's not just a political dispute," Kayla warned. "There are darker forces at play." The Black Halo's resurgence. While the Accord fractured, the Black Halo regrouped in the shadows. Their commanders exploited the discord, striking at vulnerable targets with ruthless precision. Reports came in of raids on border colonies and supply lines, designed to weaken the Accord's hold on contested regions. The Iron Hearts were stretched thin, battling enemies on multiple fronts. A desperate proposal. General Voss called an emergency summit. "We need unity," she urged. "But more than that, we need a plan that transcends politics." She proposed a bold initiative, a joint task force combining the best of the Accord's military and intelligence, led by the Iron Hearts but supported by all factions. Kalen and Kayla volunteered without hesitation. The price of unity. To secure support, sacrifices had to be made. Some of the Iron Heart's hardliners balked at compromise. "We cannot trust those who oppose us," argued Captain Rena, a fierce warrior loyal to the Iron Heart's original vision. But Kalen countered, "If we fracture now, we lose everything." The debate was heated, but the pressing threat left no room for division. Shadows within. As preparations began, Kayla and Kalen uncovered a deeper conspiracy. A faction within the Accord was colluding with the Black Halo, feeding them intelligence and sabotaging key operations. "This is treason," Kalen said grimly. "We must root it out before it's too late." The task force began a covert hunt for the traitors, walking a dangerous line between allies and enemies. Trust in the balance. Kayla and Kalen faced difficult choices, questioning loyalties and making uneasy alliances. They relied on old contacts from the Ghosts and new intelligence from Sarah, who was slowly recovering but still haunted by her experiences. The mission tested their resolve, forcing them to balance hope against harsh realities. The battle for the Accord's soul. The chapter culminated in a tense council meeting, where Core pushed for a vote of no confidence against the current leadership. Kalen rose to speak, his voice steady but passionate. We stand at a crossroads. Our enemies wait for us to fall apart. If we fracture, we will lose everything we've fought for. The vote was close, but the alliance held for now. A new path forward. Though the alliance remained intact, the fractures beneath the surface had deepened. The Iron Hearts had won a battle in politics as much as war, but peace was fragile. Kalen, Kayla, and Sarah understood that the war's next phase would demand more than firepower. It would require trust, sacrifice, and the courage to face the unknown together. The galaxy holds its breath as the Resolute prepared to depart Helios Prime. The crew looked outward, toward the uncertain future. The battle for the galaxy's soul was far from over, and the Iron Hearts would need every ounce of strength and unity to survive what was coming. The galaxy teetered on the brink. The fragile unity of the Galactic Accord was tested by political strife and shadowy betrayals. The Black Halo, wounded but far from defeated, lurked in the darkness, waiting for their moment to strike. But from the ashes of war, something new was kindling, a fire forged in iron resolve and human spirit, ready to burn brighter than any star. Gathering the last allies, the Resolute cruised toward the outer rim, where the Accord's hold was weakest and the Black Halo's presence strongest. Kalen Dre and Kayla Mira stood on the bridge, the weight of command heavy on their shoulders. General Arya Voss had sent word to scattered commanders and reluctant allies, urging them to unite for one final stand. "This is our last chance," Voss said over the comms. "If we fracture now, the Black Halo will consume us all." The message echoed across sectors, rallying desperate forces, human militias, alien coalitions, and even former foes willing to fight for survival. Rekindling hope. Sarah Kane, still fragile but resolute, joined Kalen and Kayla on the bridge. Her experience inside the alien prison had changed her, not broken her. "We have a chance to end this," she said quietly. "The Black Halo's core is vulnerable, but we must strike together." The team planned a daring assault on the Black Halo's command nexus, hidden deep within a dark nebula known as the Void Maw. Into the Void Maw, the fleet slipped through the nebula's swirling clouds, where sensors were scrambled and communication unreliable. It was a labyrinth of shadows and storms, a perfect hiding place for the enemy. Kalen's squad led the spearhead, navigating treacherous gravitational eddies and sudden bursts of ion storms. "The Black Halo knows this territory," Kayla said, tension in her voice. "They've prepared traps. Stay sharp." The Siege of Shadows. As the fleet approached the command nexus, they encountered fierce resistance. Swarms of Black Halo fighters and automated defenses powered by alien technology. The battle was brutal and chaotic. Starships exploded in brilliant bursts, casting eerie light on the nebula's dark clouds. Kalen coordinated ground teams, directing boarding parties and sabotage units to cripple the Nexus from within. The heart of darkness. Inside the command Nexus, Kalen, Kayla, and a select squad infiltrated the core, a massive chamber pulsing with alien energy. The air hummed with power, the walls lined with strange, organic technology that seemed alive. They found the Black Halo's leaders, twisted remnants of a once great civilization, bound by hatred and desperation. A final confrontation erupted, a battle of fire and fury that tested their skills and wills to the limit. Sacrifice and resolve. The fight was costly. Kayla took a grave wound, and Kalen pushed himself beyond exhaustion to protect his team. Sarah's knowledge of alien technology proved crucial, disabling the core's defenses and turning its power against the enemy. In the end, the command nexus was destroyed in a massive explosion that lit the nebula like a supernova. Aftermath and renewal. The loss of their command shattered the Black Halo's forces. Without leadership or coordination, their attacks became disorganized and desperate. The Galactic Accord seized the moment, launching coordinated strikes across the galaxy that reclaimed lost worlds and secured vital resources, healing, and hope. Back aboard the Resolute, the crew tended to their wounded and mourned the fallen. General Voss addressed the fleet. "This victory is not just a military success," she said. "It is a testament to our unity, our resilience, and the unbreakable spirit of humanity." Kalen, Kayla, and Sarah stood together, their bond stronger than ever. The flame reborn. The galaxy was still scarred, but a new dawn had begun. The Iron Hearts had proven that even in the darkest times, hope could be reborn from ashes. Humanity's fire, fierce, unyielding, would continue to burn, lighting the way for generations to come. Epilogue: A New Horizon. Months later, Kalen and Kayla stood on a remote planet, watching twin suns rise over a horizon filled with promise. "Do you think it's really over?" Kayla asked softly. Kalen smiled, the weight of command easing for the first time in years. "Not over, but a new beginning. We faced the darkness and survived. Now it's time to build." As the suns climbed higher, their lights spilled over the landscape, a symbol of resilience, unity, and the enduring flame of humanity.